Come to order. Welcome to our distinguished witnesses this afternoon, and thank you for appearing before us today and for your testimony. For the first time in our history, the United States faces the challenge of simultaneously deterring two nuclear peer adversaries. Russia and China continue to modernize and diversify their nuclear forces, with China modernizing at a breathtaking pace that has consistently exceeded our estimates. For years, this committee has heard from the Department of Energy and Defense that our own nuclear modernization efforts are the #1 priority. However, that rhetoric has too often failed to be backed up by action. This was the primary reason that this subcommittee pressed for the creation of a new Assistant Secretary of Defense for Nuclear Matters, who would be responsible for both nuclear policy and nuclear programs. And I am pleased to have Dr. Kadlec with us today to discuss this new role. Thankfully, the Departments of Energy and Defense are starting to turn the corner and are making substantive progress with nuclear modernization. Today, we welcome two panels of witnesses. Our first panel, we have Dr. David Beck from the National Nuclear Security Administration, Mr. Timothy Walsh from the Department of Energy, and Admiral William Houston from the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program. I am pleased to see that the President's FY27 budget request includes a significant increase in funding for NNSA, in particular the Weapons Activities Account. These additional resources will be critical to supporting weapons modernization programs, planning for future systems, and recapitalizing our nuclear enterprise. On our second panel, we have General Dale White, the Air Force Direct Reporting Program Manager for Critical Major Weapons Systems, General Stephen Davis from Air Force Global Strike Command, Vice Admiral Johnny Wolfe from Naval Strategic Systems Program, and as I mentioned earlier, the Honorable Robert Kadlec, Assistant Secretary for Nuclear Deterrence, Chemical and Biological Defense Policy and Programs. I look forward to hearing the testimony from our witnesses today, and I appreciate your efforts to move nuclear modernization forward. With that, Senator King, you are recognized for any remarks.
Thank you. First, I want to thank our witnesses today for joining us. This is an annual Strategic Forces Subcommittee hearing in preparation for our National Defense Authorization Bill later this spring. There's so much to be discussed, I'm going to keep my comments pretty short. First, I want to acknowledge that this is Vice Admiral Wolfe's last formal appearance before this subcommittee. I'm sure he's terribly sad about that milestone, but he's been the director of the Navy's Strategic Systems Program since 2018, 8 years. You've been responsible, Admiral Wolfe, for the cradle-to-grave development of the Navy's Fleet Ballistic Missile Program. You've been a friend and truly a trusted advisor to this subcommittee, and I want to thank you and acknowledge 38 years of service. I look forward to hopefully promptly working with your replacement, given the tremendous responsibility that this program entails. This is a unique hearing in that it combines the defense nuclear programs at the Department of Energy with those of the Department of Defense. The NNSA is the busiest since it's been in the 1980s in meeting Department of Defense requirements while at the same time modernizing Manhattan-era production facilities. And I've been to some of those facilities, and I can honestly say there are a few facilities in our government that are older than I am, and those meet that criteria. Likewise, the Department of Defense is conducting a once-in-a-generation modernization of our triad. Once in several generations, I would say. At the same time, ensuring the existing triad of ICBM submarines and bombers can remain safe, secure, and effective as the bedrock of our national defense deterrence policy, with two near-peer adversaries, Russia and China. I will want to know what issues you face in maintaining the existing delivery systems, many dating to the 60s, while like NNSA, conducting a multi-decade-long modernization of our ICBMs, bombers, and ballistic missile submarines. I just came from an intelligence briefing And without revealing a thing that's classified, I can say that the Chinese concentration and acceleration of their nuclear armament effort is something to be taken extremely seriously, and only reminds us of the importance of deterrence, which, as I said, is the mainstay, the cornerstone of our defense strategy. It's worked for 75, 80 years, and is something that must be maintained. It is our best way to keep the peace. Mr. Walsh, I haven't forgotten you. You've one of the most complicated programs of all in cleaning up former nuclear weapon production sites. At Hanford alone, there are 55 million gallons of nuclear waste, 177 storage tanks near the Columbia River. I want to know how you are proceeding on this effort. Again, I appreciate our witnesses joining us and look forward to the testimony. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator King. But at this time, I'd like to recognize the members of the panel for their opening statements. Mr. Beck, you are recognized.
Thank you. Chairwoman Fisher, Ranking Member King, thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today with my esteemed colleagues. America's nuclear deterrent is the ultimate guarantor of our freedom and the final backstop against aggression. Today, the stability that deterrent provides is under direct and accelerating threat. Russia and China are engaged in an unprecedented nuclear buildup that is rapidly eroding America's strategic advantage. But under President Trump leadership, NSA is responding with urgency, agility, and determination to strengthen deterrence. Our top priority is clear: modernization of the nuclear stockpile to meet the U.S. nuclear deterrence objectives. We are executing the full program of record ahead of current schedules. We are exercising the capability to rapidly prototype new weapons. We are surging production of plutonium pits, uranium components, high explosives, and other critical materials. And we are enhancing our critical skills workforce while rebuilding the aging infrastructure that underpins our entire enterprise faster, smarter, and at lower cost. To drive these results, the Office of Defense Programs has issued sweeping transformation objectives to our laboratories, plants, and sites, in addition to our extensive baseline program. These are not incremental tweaks. They are fundamental shifts in culture, technical execution, management processes, and accountability. We are demanding results from ourselves and our partners across the enterprise. Over the next 3 years, these changes will deliver some of the NSA's most significant achievements in decades. Warheads for new delivery systems delivered ahead of schedule, demonstration of next-generation hard and deeply buried target defeat capabilities, unprecedented confidence in the reliability of our aging stockpile, disciplined, timely production restored across the complex, infrastructure projects completed faster and cheaper, 100 plutonium pits manufactured for the future stockpile. We are overhauling the way NNSA executes capital construction. We are placing the right leaders in charge, aligning authority with accountability, transparently measuring progress, adopting commercial best practices, streamlining acquisition, accepting prudent risk, and cutting through overly burdensome regulations. The goal is simple: deliver critical projects on time and on budget to support the deterrence mission. We are already seeing major progress. Weapons programs are ahead of schedule, and the NSA continues to deliver on time to the Department of War. Pit production at Los Alamos has surged significantly in FY 2026. The LAP-4 project at Los Alamos realized 300% efficiency over prior 3-year average performance. The uranium processing facility is nearly complete, with first castings now planned for 2028 and overall commissioning accelerated. Rapid capability prototypes are being executed. Tritium production continues to ramp up and enabling more agile stockpile options. The lithium production facility acquisition strategy has been overhauled for modular, commercial speed construction. Maintaining a safe, secure, and effective nuclear deterrent is not just important, it's the United States' most urgent national security imperative. Working closely with the Department of War, NSA will deliver. The significant budget increases NSA has received highlights the growing requirements of deterrence. With this FY 2027 budget request, we are asking the Congress to make further investments needed to deliver peace through strength, atomic strength. against determined adversaries who respect only capability and resolve. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Welcome, Secretary Walsh. You are recognized for your opening statement.
Chairwoman Fisher, Ranking Member King, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today as the head of Department of Energy's Office of Environmental Management. As an Army veteran, I'm grateful for your dedication to our nation's security and the vital work you do. With President Trump's fiscal year 2027 budget, our mission is clear. We are putting Americans first by cleaning up environmental legacy sites and protecting our communities. Our focus is on transforming former nuclear sites into centers for advanced energy and innovation, helping drive down electricity costs and create new opportunities. Environmental management supports the Department of Energy's three core pillars. First, we work with NNSA and naval reactors to clean up legacy nuclear waste sites and make room for new national security missions. Second, we clear space for cutting-edge research at our national labs. Third, we champion energy dominance and reindustrialization, leading to job creation and strengthening our national security. We are delivering results rapidly by accelerating cleanup, restoring sites, and revitalizing local economies. Our 2040 vision is to turn major legacy sites into hubs for nuclear energy, advanced manufacturing, and AI infrastructure, saving time and billions of dollars on our cleanup mission. By leveraging risk-based approach and AI, we are finding the best technical solutions to speed up cleanup and reduce risks. Affordable, reliable energy is essential for our prosperity. At Oak Ridge, Tennessee, clean land now supports uranium enrichment, fuel fabrication, and development of small modular reactors, creating jobs and solutions for America's energy needs. In South Carolina, the Savannah River site is restarting H Canyon to reprocess used nuclear fuel and plutonium for advanced nuclear reactors, saving the taxpayers $350 million. In Nevada and Idaho, our cleanup and facility upgrades support nuclear development and national security priorities. Our core commitment remains to protect people and the environment. With cleanup completed at 92 sites, we are focused on the remaining 14 sites. The 2027 budget shows our strong commitment to safely advancing our mission, turning liabilities into opportunities for security, energy, and jobs. Thanks to congressional support and industry partnerships, we are addressing the impacts of past nuclear programs and evolving to be a results-driven organization that prioritizes environmental protection and public health. Our work lays the foundation for safer, cleaner, and more prosperous communities nationwide. We look forward to working with Congress to advance our progress, strengthen national security, and support affordable American energy. Thank you for your service to our nation. God bless our military, and God bless America.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Admiral Houston, welcome. Good to see you. You are recognized for your opening comments.
Chairwoman Fisher, Ranking Member King, distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. Your continued support for the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program is essential to the maritime dominance delivered by the United States Navy, nuclear-powered submarines, and aircraft carriers. Every day, nuclear-powered warships are conducting operations in a demanding environment. They operate with a forceful backup of naval reactors' technical experience, robust infrastructure, and an unrelenting pursuit of improving our edge. Maritime operations with today's nuclear fleets are the results of decades of investment in research and development of materials, refined procedures, and adherence to the highest standards. As I have in past testimony, I want to assure you that the funding request before you is a result of a rigorous and demanding look at our current and future operations that provide the nation with its unmatched capability. This year, naval reactors will prioritize three key areas and two priority projects. First, our people. The people within the Naval Nuclear Propulsion enterprise are essential to the management and oversight of important work we perform for our nation. Second, we continue our intense focus on research and development of technologies that reduce overall cost savings, shorten construction timelines, and consistently enhance fleet capabilities. Finally, we'll modernize and sustain the critical infrastructure throughout our dedicated DOE laboratories. I'm also seeking your continued support for two national priority projects. The first is finalizing development in fiscal year 27 of the Columbia-class ballistic missile submarine reactor plant. The life of the ship core now entering serial production is directly supporting the Navy's #1 acquisition priority and a key strategic asset. And the second project is the construction of the Naval Spent Fuel Handling Facility in Idaho, which will bring long-term reliable processing of spent fuel from the Navy's nuclear fleet well into the second half of this century. We continue to experience challenges with this project, but I've been to the site multiple times in the past year, and progress is visible. In closing, your strong and enduring support enables naval reactors to succeed and continue to excel in every pursuit. I respectfully urge your continued support across our efforts this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral, for your comments. Mr. Beck, I'd like to begin with a few questions for you. The FY27 budget request for weapons activities includes roughly 13% increase compared to last year when we factor in the reconciliation funding. Can you explain to this committee and to the public why such an increase is necessary?
Senator, thank you for the question. We have a unique situation worldwide with our adversaries. We currently have 7 stockpile modernization efforts underway. We just completed 2, and I'll refer to my notes to make sure I get this exactly right. The W-88 Alt 370 was finished. The 6112 was completed. The 6113 FP was completed, the first production unit. 80-4, 80-5, 87-1, and 93, plus 2 phase 1s that are underway. We also have a number of significant construction projects that are moving into construction. Some are nearly complete, but others are just beginning. That is a very heavy lift because we have not modernized our stockpile infrastructure for quite some time, particularly focused on plutonium, uranium, and lithium.
Thank you. And as you know, in the FY26 NDAA, that formally established a rapid capabilities program within the NNSA. Many of us are concerned about the time that all of this is taking. So can you tell me how are these rapid capability teams enhancing NNSA's ability to quickly address emerging mission needs and do so without disrupting some of the current modernization programs that are already underway?
Senator, thank you for that question. The rapid capabilities effort is well underway. We're working very closely with the Department of War. We've recently had a meeting at Stratcom to prioritize what was needed for the warfighter. We're working on prototypes to support that and conceptual designs at this point, and it is actually helping us move forward with greater speed and urgency. We're using some of the skills that we've developed over the last several years to do so, and we have a dedicated small team working on providing the infrastructure and the preliminary hardware that's needed for these efforts. So it's very encouraging and going quite well.
You're with NNSA, with the Department of Energy. You just mentioned working with the Department of War, working with Stratcom. How are those relationships? Is there open dialogue, good cooperation, a seamless transfer of information so that we can see things move faster?
Senator, yes, exactly that. I worked very closely with Dr. Kadlec. I worked very closely with Admiral Correll. at Stratcom, and we have an agreement where there are no surprises, that we're going to be open and transparent with each other, and that's been executed quite well with them and their staffs, and the relationship is quite good. I've been very happy with how that has worked out, so thank you for that question.
And pit production. As we're looking at Los Alamos, how are you going to ramp up pit production there until Savannah River is ready? Tell us a little bit about that.
Within a week of having been sworn in, I went to Los Alamos and we brainstormed ideas with experts across the complex and particularly the Los Alamos leadership, and we came up with hundreds of ideas. A couple of dozen of them really moved the needle on how to expedite pits. We are positioned now to where what we thought we were going to build in this fiscal year will significantly increase that number. We built those in the first half of the year. We have found some small, significant things that we could do to expedite production. We're reducing retention or improving retention and attrition of the workforce through some actions that we've made on compensation, and we've also made some changes in regulatory environment there. So we're seeing dramatic increases in the pit production rates, and we expect that to continue for the years ahead.
In this setting, can you tell us just exactly where you are with pit production and what was the requirement? I always call it the hopeful requirement, and where we are now.
Our requirement by law is to make 80 pits a year by 2030. And we have set a goal to make 100 collectively through December of 28, which means that in order to get there from here, we will have made between 30 and 50 pits per year. We're moving closer to the objective. While it's a very big stretch to get to 80 a year, we have a chance to do so now, and we're demonstrating that the capability and the yield and the process, which I monitor monthly with metrics, is moving forward quite nicely, and we have the whole complex attention. We've worked with Savannah River and Los Alamos and a number of other members of the enterprise to expedite pit production. It's going quite well. I'm happy to report.
Thank you. Senator King.
Thank you. Mr. Beck, the NNSA and the national labs are the national repository for knowledge about nuclear weapons and nuclear, all matters nuclear. I was wondering if there are NNSA personnel or personnel from any of the national labs in Islamabad this week to advise our negotiators on the issue of Iran's nuclear capability.
Senator, thank you for the question. I do not know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'll get back to you.
I'd appreciate it. I think that's something that, well, frankly, I think it's something you should know. It's hard for me to imagine that people from your department were detailed to these negotiations and you wouldn't know about it, but I will look forward to your response. The reconciliation plan last summer appropriated $3.1 billion to NNSA. We're still waiting for a spend plan. Could we have that, please?
Could I ask $3.1 billion for which?
That was under the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, $3.1 billion to NNSA, and I just we would like to see what the plan is for allocating those funds.
Senator, we have a plan for that. We have delivered it in part. I don't know that we've given the complete plan to you because there's been some questions about allocation with respect to the letter of intent involved with that. We are working with your staff to finalize that, and as soon as we have that, we'll provide that to you, I suspect, within the next 30 days.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Walsh, I understand you've finally been able to operate the plant that takes low-level waste, turns it into glass. Is that in actual operation? Is it working?
It is, but a plant that was 25 years in the making and cost almost $18 billion to date, which is a remarkable amount of money. is starting up finally and working through the kinks to get to a full operational capacity, which we think may take up to another year. So we're currently pursuing a glass plus grout approach, very similar.
That's what I was going to ask. That's a sort of a follow-up that's less expensive. Is that proving out?
It is, and we did last year a test bed initiative to prove it. And it's not a novel technology. We've been doing it across the complex and specifically at Savannah River for the last 10 years and ramped up that production now to where we're treating about 9 million gallons of tank waste a year at Savannah River. We're hoping that in this next year we'll get through the Department of Ecology. We've been having good meetings with that. There was a lot of relationship building that we had to do there, and more importantly, it's about leadership. It's about setting expectation and outcomes and starting to move with a real sense of urgency at hand.
So are you bullish on this grout approach?
I'm very bullish on it.
Thank you. Oak Ridge Y-12 site is being rebuilt. It's a very large facility, 500,000 square feet. What's the status of that asset? Is that going to be taken down? That's a lot of space that could be used at Oak Ridge.
It is. We're just completed. Good. It is. We just completed Alpha 2, which was one of the key buildings there, taken down, and we're in the process of going through decontamination and decommissioning of the next series of buildings that will be taken down in a similar fashion.
Thank you. Admiral, we haven't made uranium fuel, we haven't made fuel for nuclear submarines since 1992, but my first question is it now necessary to begin that process again, given the expansion of the submarine fleet, the aircraft carriers, and also AUKUS? What's the status? Where do we stand on fuel for these nuclear propulsion plants?
Yes, Ranking Member King, thank you for that question. So our highly enriched uranium is out into the 2050s. Our supply will last us at our current plan. We do need to develop a plan. We are working very closely with NNSA and NA-10 to develop that. We have some pilot programs that NA-10 can talk about further if you want, but it's absolutely critical that we do start working on the development of enrichment capability. That will first be for the weapons program, and then it'll be for our program, and absolutely critical. AUKUS, as far as enrichment we need for AUKUS, it is a very minor, we're talking months to shift a window. It's not a large impact on our program, and that is, those figures I quote you for the 2050s is based on our current, which is 1+2, plus our carrier build program.
So you would characterize the fuel situation as serious but not critical at this moment, but we need to begin the process to be sure that we don't have a gap. Is that a fair summary?
That is absolutely correct, Senator. And if you look at the...
Be sure the record shows absolutely correct, Senator. That's a phrase we go ahead.
And I would add that that's part of the NNSA blueprint to develop that, and that's where we've put some of the larger projects that we have to ensure that it's cost conscious across some of the major projects that NNSA has to execute.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator King. We'll ask a couple more questions while we wait to see if other members are going to come to the hearing. Admiral, when we think of AUKUS and really the big undertaking and the important undertaking that we see with AUKUS and your part in that implementation, sometimes people say, why are we doing this? So what's in it for the United States? What are the Australians providing to us? How would you respond to that?
Yes, thank you for the question, Senator. It's a tremendous ally. It's a key partner in the Western Pacific for us, key partner since every conflict since the middle of World War I, close and trusted, very close maritime relationship. I actually qualified on an Australian submarine for command. Those very close relationships. They share our heavyweight torpedo. They share our combat system. The submarine rotational forces west, the first phase of AUKUS, will include rotational basing in Sterling, their West Coast naval base. We are on track of that to be executed in the 2027-2028 timeframe there. They've made great progress. And then it's condition-based for them sovereign ready for us to sell them Virginia-class submarines. The Australians have performed exceptionally well in our training pipeline. Their sailors are on more than half of our fast attack submarines in the Western Pacific right now, performing superbly and contributing to us. They've contributed tremendous amounts, $2 billion to our submarine industrial base. And for my program alone, it's over $600 million to expand our infrastructure and help with American jobs and help drive for completion of our nuclear enterprise, our Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program. So an absolutely key partner, Senator.
Thank you, Admiral. Mr. Secretary, when you were talking about the number of sites that have already been cleaned up, and you mentioned there were 14 left, what most concerns you about those sites, and are you confident that you will be able to remediate them?
You know, our biggest challenge right now is Hanford, obviously. It represents 40% of our budget, and I feel like we haven't had clear direction and leadership and alignment out there. But under my leadership and the team we have in place now, I'm confident that we're going to finally tackle the tank waste mission out there. I feel like this is really our breakout year. We're making great progress on taking down old gaseous diffusion plants at Portsmouth and Paducah, just like we did at K-25 in Oak Ridge. Progress is going really well in Savannah River. One of the critical aspects to NNSA's mission and our completion mission really is keeping WIP up and running and operational. Some of the infrastructure there is vintage, but still operational, and we're repairing that, and we're just coming out of a shutdown. Last year we upgraded our HVAC system for that. We have plenty of capacity to go, but that is a critical aspect of our cleanup mission that we'll stay focused on.
Thank you. And Mr. Beck, on NNSA's enterprise blueprint concept, that's shaping the long-range planning for modernization for our critical infrastructure. How's that going? Are you you're new to this position in this administration, and you look at that? What are your feelings about it?
Well, the enterprise blueprint is a very good business tool to project modernization efforts over the next 25 years. I'm personally a little frustrated that it's not fast enough and costs too much. So we're working, as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, working to fix that problem of speed things up using commercial standards where possible and try to provide things at lower cost. We plan to have that updated within the next few months, and we'll provide you as we move forward. We've already made significant progress on LAP4 and the uranium processing facility and lithium processing facility, and we will be able to provide that update with the enterprise blueprint tool that we have.
How would you define success? Is that being able to go faster at lower cost?
The success is
part of that?
The success is to provide the warfighter, Department of War, what they need when they need it.
Exactly.
And we have not yet done that, and we plan to do so. We have the antiquated facilities that are in many cases that are still providing the materials that are needed, but they have significant risk with them, and we want to reduce that risk and give the warfighter what's needed when they need it.
Thank you, sir. Senator King.
Thank you. Mr. Beck, I'd like to just follow up on my question. If you could check in the next 24 hours as to whether or not there are NNSA or National Lab people advising our negotiators in Islamabad and get us the answer to that before the close of business tomorrow, I'd appreciate it. That's a pretty straightforward
Sure,
question.
Senator. That's a function handled by NA-20, the Non-Proliferation Office, and I know that I checked, we have people advising the people in there. I don't believe we have anyone there, but I will check and verify that for you within 24 hours.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. I know we've talked a little bit about Savannah River. Can you give us a progress report and timing, how we expect that? You've talked about pits at Los Alamos. Are we making progress converting the MOX facility? That's been one of those projects that seems to always move out into the future.
Yes, Senator, it is. And I've been to Savannah River twice in the first 3 months on the job here, and have toured the MOX facility and looked hard at how we approach that. The first step was to go to Savannah River and brainstorm how Savannah River could help Los Alamos make pits now. The next step will be to go forward and try to figure out how to get the Savannah River plutonium processing facility done faster. Right now, it's projected to produce pits in 2035. Full rate production beyond that.
Eisenhower retook Europe in 11 months.
Yes, sir.
2034.
Our intent is to dramatically improve the timeline on that facility by changing the strategy and perhaps some of the leadership involved.
We'll look forward to updates on that. Admiral, I understand we're moving away in our training in the nuclear Navy from actual units to simulators. Is that happening, and can you discuss that? Is that going to improve and make training more effective and faster?
Senator, that is correct. We operate prototypes right now, which are full-scale submarines generally with actual reactors that we run. I would say that simulators doesn't do it credit. They're full-scale models of submarines in their engine room, and we operate them, and it's not with an actual reactor, but the full-scale size and replica is so accurate that if I took an operator on there, they may not understand whether they're on an actual submarine or an actual training platform. The valves operate the same way. If you have steam come out of a valve, there'll actually be steam come out of this full-scale replica. And we are pursuing these. The first propulsion plant team trainer will go into operation in 2035. We've completed the design on it. We already operate these at our prototype training sites to supplement our training already. And we will have 3 more built, and they're all going to be built in Charleston. They will give us better training than what we can get with our prototypes right now. They will be higher uptime, and they will actually increase our throughput significantly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for that initiative. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator King. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you being here today. If we have questions for the record, we will get those to you, and then you'll have a short time period to get the answers back to us. But thank you again. Appreciate it. And with that, I would welcome up our panel number 2, please.
Including Admiral Wolfe.
Yeah. He is. I like Admiral Houston. I'd like to welcome the members of our second panel at the hearing today. We have Secretary Robert Kadlec, who is the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Nuclear Deterrence, Chemical and Biological Defense Policy and Programs, General Dale White with the United States Air Force, Director, Critical Major Weapons Systems, Department of the Air Force, General Stephen Davis, United States Air Force, Commander, Air Force Global Strike Command, and Vice Admiral Johnny Wolfe Jr., United States Navy, Director for Strategic Systems Programs, Department of the Navy. Welcome to all of you. Let's begin with your opening statements. Secretary Kadlec, we will begin with you.
Thank you very much, Chair Fisher and Ranking Member King. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today regarding U.S. nuclear forces. I appear before you with a message that is stark and sobering, as you kind of alluded to during your opening statement. For the first time in our nation's history, we will face the challenge of deterring two nuclear peers, China and Russia, simultaneously, as well as regional powers with growing capabilities. This is not a hypothetical future problem. This is a now crisis. China is engaged in a breathtaking and opaque expansion of its nuclear arsenal, while Russia, with the world's largest arsenal, continues to modernize its forces, integrating new kinds of nuclear weapons into its strategy for coercion. Both adversaries have sophisticated theater nuclear weapons, significantly outnumbering the U.S. Add to this challenge is North Korea, whose missiles now can reach the American homeland. The picture becomes alarmingly clear. We're in a new and more dangerous era. The 2020 Strategic Posture Commission highlighted the inefficiencies and risks we've allowed to fester in our nuclear enterprise. For too long, we've operated under a business-as-usual model that reflected a benign security environment. Programs were delayed, hard decisions deferred, and taking risks were avoided. Now we must flip that model. We have to act with urgency while we take steps to accept risk appropriately to confront these challenges. Through the modernization and diversification of U.S. nuclear forces and the recapitalization of our NC3 capabilities, the President's FY 2027 budget prioritizes the nuclear deterrent as the foundation of America's defense, approximately 5% of the total budget. The modernization and diversification of our nuclear deterrent, our submarines, our missiles, our bombers, and NC3 is not a choice, but an imperative. As Secretary Hegseth said recently, nothing else matters if we don't get this right. We must accelerate these critical programs wherever possible to deliver the next generation capabilities to the warfighter as soon as possible. We must also accelerate SLIC-MN and develop additional theater nuclear forces. Such capabilities are essential to managing escalation and ensuring the United States is never subject to blackmail. Finally, we must supercharge our defense industrial base, returning the U.S. to the world's premier arsenal capable of producing a scale and speed with unmatched quality. The cost of investing in our nuclear forces and supporting capabilities and infrastructure is significant. However, the cost of failure is a world where the risk of miscalculation, catastrophic conflict is unacceptably high. That is a price we cannot afford to pay. We owe it to the warfighter, to the American people, and our posterity to ensure that our arsenal of freedom remains ready, reliable, and resolute. The time to act is now. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. General White, welcome. We would welcome your comments at this time. Thank you.
Chairwoman Fisher, Ranking Member King, and distinguished members of the subcommittee, on behalf of the Secretary of War, Honorable Pete Hegseth, and the Deputy Secretary of War, the Honorable Steve Feinberg, I thank you for the opportunity to testify on the vital work of the Direct Reporting Portfolio Manager for Critical Major Weapon Systems. The office was established by Secretary Hegseth to provide urgent, unified focus on a select group of weapon systems critical to the nation's defense. These programs, Sentinel, ICBM, Minuteman III ICBM, B-21 Raider family of systems, F-47 CCA family of systems, and VC-25B, require a higher level of leadership and operational urgency to ensure their timely delivery and execution. In alignment with the National Defense Strategy, the DRPM's role is twofold: to relentlessly prioritize the programs most consequential to the security and prosperity of the American people, and to drive the transformation of the acquisition process to equip the U.S. military with the world's most decisive and lethal warfighting capabilities. Success demands an outcomes-focused culture that delivers capabilities to the warfighter at the speed of relevance, and this requires an accelerated pace and a transparent partnership with the industrial base. The core purpose of the DRPM Critical Major Weapon Systems is to enable warfighters by delivering decisive capability at the speed of relevance. My mission is guided by 3 golden rules: empowered execution, integration over independence, and a revitalized relationship with the industrial base. Empowered execution. Program executive offices are fully empowered to execute with urgency under the DRPM concept. My role is to serve as their strategic champion, leveraging my authority to resolve complex cross-departmental challenges and dismantle bureaucratic obstacles in the process. Integration over independence. I function as the direct milestone decision authority for this portfolio, ensuring frictionless and absolute integration with the Department of the Air Force and other stakeholders. This streamlined structure and deliberately avoids replicating traditional oversight layers to accelerate decision-making. A revitalized industrial partnership. We are instituting a new paradigm of partnership with industry, moving beyond a transactional relationship to one built on transparency, collaboration, and shared accountability. We expect our industry partners to embrace modular, open system architectures to foster innovation, create opportunities for emerging companies, and deliver superior performance at a lower cost. This portfolio directly underpins the 2026 National Defense Strategy and contains the critical capabilities that serve as the ultimate guarantor of our national sovereignty. As the NDS unequivocally states, the United States should never, will never, be left vulnerable to nuclear blackmail. 2 of the programs, B-21 and Sentinel, are dedicated to modernizing nuclear surety, while a third, Minuteman III, is focused on sustaining it until the replacement is fielded. Defending the U.S. homeland is the bedrock of homeland defense as a robust and modern nuclear deterrent. With both China and Russia aggressively modernizing their nuclear forces, it is an absolute imperative that U.S. modernization programs proceed with urgency. The B-21 Raider and LGM-35A Sentinel are the essential guarantors of credible U.S. nuclear deterrent for future generations. Investment continues to sustain the LGM-30 Minuteman III fleet, which remains on high alert 24/7 as a prompt and highly responsive retaliatory force. The cornerstone of the future bomber force, the B-21, is in its flight test campaign with the physical production advancing daily. This progress was further evidenced by the award of 2 additional low-rate initial production lots, one in December of 2025 and another in March 2026. And the first aircraft remains on track for delivery to Ellsworth Air Force Base in 2027, with a planned fleet of at least 100 aircraft and a recent agreement with Northrop Grumman to increase annual production capacity by 25%. As a land-based foundation of the nuclear triad, the Department is firmly committed to ensuring Minuteman III force remains safe, secure, and effective until Sentinel is fielded. Over $2 billion is allocated annually for operations and sustainment, with crucial investments continuing at the Little Mountain Test Facility to modernize testing equipment that will also support the future Sentinel program. The Sentinel program is advancing with clear purpose on a path to its Milestone P decision by the end of 2026 and initial operational capability in the early 2030s. Key milestones achieved to date include taking the first Minuteman silo offline for transition in summer of 2025, assembling the first 3-stage ground test missile, and breaking ground on a prototype launch silo in February 26. The first missile pad launch is scheduled for 2027. The programs within the portfolio sustaining Minuteman III, accelerating the B-21 Raider, and executing Sentinel program are the bedrock of our nation's nuclear surety and sovereignty. And the successful and timely execution of these efforts sends an unequivocal message to our adversaries and allies, the United States. I thank you again for the opportunity to testify and look forward to your questions.
Thank you, General. Next, welcome General Davis. Appreciate having you here today. We're ready for your comments.
Thank you. Chairwoman Fisher, Ranking Member King, it's an honor to appear before you today representing the men and women of Air Force Global Strike Command. I want to extend my sincere thanks to this committee and Congress for your continued support, and specifically for your commitment to the Air Force's nuclear and conventional long-range strike missions. This committee recognizes the existential threats to our nation. We face the unprecedented challenge of deterring 2 peer nuclear adversaries, China and Russia, who both possess modern and diverse arsenals, while at the same time North Korea continuously attempts to expand and modernize its nuclear arsenal. The increasing coordination among these rivals underscores the urgent need for a capable, flexible, and modern nuclear force. Air Force Global Strike Command provides our nation's combat-ready forces for nuclear and conventional long-range strike. Our highest priority is to deter conflict and, should deterrence fail, to win decisively. Today, that mission is being executed at an ever-increasing operational tempo. Our bomber force, consisting of B-1s, B-2s, and B-52s, remain in high demand across multiple theaters. Over the last year, the command has played pivotal roles in military operations, including Rough Rider, Midnight Hammer, Absolute Resolve, and more recently, Epic Fury. These missions have required long-duration CONUS-to-CONUS missions and overlapping bomber deployments. In Operation Epic Fury alone, Air Force Global Strike Command conducted over 150 bomber sorties, 48 of which were round-trip from the United States. These missions were a minimum of 18 hours in duration, with those from the U.S. taking as long as 40 hours. We have executed every tasking with precision and professionalism. However, these efforts have come at a cost borne largely by our airmen. We continue to deliver under ever-increasing strain, and we are operating on tight margins, and your continued support is invaluable. To meet these no-fail missions, we must sustain our current forces while simultaneously modernizing our two legs of the nuclear triad and the critical nuclear command, control, and communication aircraft that connect them. This is a monumental task that includes the replacement of our aging weapon systems through the Sentinel program, the fielding of the B-21, the modernization of the B-52, as well as developing and delivering the Survivable Airborne Operations Center and the Long-Range Standoff Weapon. Two of these systems, Sentinel and B-21, are deemed so important to the future of national security that the Secretary of War created the Direct Reporting Portfolio Manager, who reports to the Deputy Secretary of War. In this new position, General White, with both Service and Department of War acquisition authorities, has significantly streamlined and accelerated acquisition decisions, which provides the responsiveness to field these systems on time with the required capabilities. This unprecedented approach will be critical to delivering these 21st century platforms with the capabilities needed to stay ahead of ever-increasing threats. Nuclear deterrence remains a bedrock of our military strength and is foundational to the defense of our nation and our allies. Our conventional long-range strike capabilities are equally vital, providing the President with a full range of options to deter aggressions and, when necessary, defeat any potential adversary. Air Force Global Strike Command, along with Air Mobility Command air refueling aircraft, make the United States the only nation with the ability to conduct worldwide long-range strike missions anytime or any place. Of course, none of this is possible without our Stryker Airmen. They are our greatest strength, and their dedication, determination, and grit, often delivered in austere and harsh environments, are the real key to these remarkable capabilities. However, Air Force Global Strike Command and the Air Force Nuclear Enterprise remain at an inflection point. Critical modernization programs have begun, and with stable and consistent resources, we can reduce risk and build momentum. We must continue to safely and securely operate legacy nuclear systems with limited margins while fielding the new systems. Success relies, as it has in the past, on the hard work and dedication of our airmen. Today, I respectfully request your continued support as we confront these challenges and continue to guarantee the safety of our nation's security. Thank you, and I look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, General Davis. Admiral Wolfe, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your service. And it has been a pleasure having you come before this subcommittee the last 8 years. And the information you've provided me as chairman or ranking member during that time has been invaluable. So I thank you for that, and you are recognized for your comments.
Chairman Fisher, Ranking Member King, it is an honor to be here today. I'd like to thank Congress for its continued support in providing the Navy with the resources required to execute our assigned mission. I'd like to begin by assuring you that the Navy's nuclear forces, the bedrock of our national security, are safe, secure, effective, and credible. As the Navy command that provides cost-effective, safe, effective, and secure sea-based strategic deterrent solutions, SSP is entrusted to provide cradle-to-grave life cycle support to 3 critical programs: the Trident II D5 strategic weapon system, the Navy's Conventional Prompt Strike hypersonic program, and the Nuclear-Armed Sea Launch Cruise Missile program. These are 3 of our nation's highest priority acquisition programs, and with your support, they ensure the Navy is delivering peace through strength. SSP ensures the highest levels of readiness and modernization of the Trident strategic weapons system. As the most survivable leg of our nuclear triad, the ballistic missile submarine force provides an unyielding foundation for assured response against any adversary. That force stands at a critical juncture. Decades of strategic foresight have delivered an unparalleled capability, but to maintain our advantage in the face of evolving threats, we must build on these decisions and prioritize the modernization of our nuclear infrastructure and our industrial base. A strong domestic industrial base is the foundation of a credible deterrent. Using resources authorized by this committee, SSP is actively working to revitalize this national asset, ensuring the timely production and delivery of critical strategic weapons systems components while fostering American jobs and technological superiority. Our modernization needs cannot succeed without investing in research and development, investing in the critical skills for our workforce and the facilities needed to produce, sustain, and certify our strategic systems. Our infrastructure is also at an inflection point. Existing facilities are reaching their 30-year recapitalization windows as we enter into a once-in-a-generation modernization of both the Trident strategic weapons system and our ballistic missile submarine platform. Over the past year, Navy has made incredible progress moving forward with development of the Sea Launch Cruise Missile Nuclear as the program moves at an extremely aggressive pace to deliver both a limited operational capability and an initial operational capability. SSP's mission, strategic deterrence, is critical to this nation. It's the foundation of the national security strategy and is a top priority of our Secretary of War. In order to accomplish SSP sustainment and development missions, we must have trained, skilled employees on board. Systems do not design, test, and build themselves. People do, which is what makes our people our greatest asset. As the 14th Director of Strategic Systems Programs, I am honored to represent them, and I have absolute faith and confidence in the safety, security, effectiveness, and credibility of our Navy strategic deterrent due to the proficiency and professionalism of these dedicated service members and civilians who have made deterrence their life's work. The 15th Director will inherit a legacy of proven success that will enable the command to grow and take challenges we have not yet begun to imagine. With continued congressional support and stable on-time funding, our Navy will continue to effectively defend our nation and preserve peace for future generations. This will be my last time sitting in front of this committee. I would like to thank you for your support of SSP and more specifically, your support of me during my time as the director. You have allowed us to accelerate these critical national programs. I am humbled and honored to have been entrusted to lead an organization so critical to our nation's security. I'm proud of the work of my team that I have accomplished over the last 8 years that I have been director of SSP, and indeed across my 38-year naval service career. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Admiral Wolfe. I'd like to start with you, sir, with questions. With the FY26 NDAA, it directed the Department and NNSA to provide a limited operational capability for SLCMN by 2032. How's the Navy working in order to meet that timeline?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. We're doing extremely well. We've taken on the challenge. We've stood up our program office. We're building the workforce in partnership with NNSA. We've identified opportunities to do just that, accelerate where we wanted the program of record to be, to look at a limited operational capability. I couldn't be prouder of the team, the way they're thinking differently about how we can get this critical technology into our warfighters' hands even sooner than what you've asked us to do. But I would say the partnership and the fleet as well. Admiral Seif and I at Sub 4 are lockstep in how we're not only going to develop the capability, but once it's there, how they're going to catch it and actually deploy it when the time comes.
Thank you. Why is it important to have that? I always stress that it gives the president options. And
Yes.
We have to move faster to get the president those
Yes, ma'am,
options.
absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think every option that we can provide as a department and within NSA to provide options to our decision makers is absolutely critical, particularly in this environment, as we've heard, with not just one but two strategic competitors. Everything that we can do to put that capability in our warfighters' hands as quickly as we can is absolutely critical.
Thank you. I'm always used to Dr. Kadlec. Secretary Kadlec, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Senator.
I appreciated that your written testimony included strong support for the Slick Amend program and your comments on how it will, quote, complement our existing capabilities and provide the President a persistent, survivable regional nuclear presence without dependence on host nations, end quote. I strongly agree that the President needs those options, and I look forward to working with you and the Nuclear Weapons Council on this. I also want to bring up another topic, NC3. How's the department prioritizing that nuclear command control and communications, and specifically, how's your office working with services to ensure that they are appropriately prioritizing that NC3 modernization?
Well, Senator, I would describe it as you have in the past, that it's the fourth leg of the triad, but really it's the first leg of the triad. It is the most important piece of the triad that we have, particularly when we consider to connecting the sustainment of existing systems to future systems, analog to digital. So it has the highest priority in my office, and quite frankly, thanks to the reorganization that was mandated by 1635, we've incorporated the NC3 office into my oversight, and we have a very capable individual, Dr. Todd Shriver, who's managing that, and we're working through all these issues to basically get a functional review of this, which was recently done at the 4-star level with Mr. Duffy as the Assistant Secretary for Acquisition, and we'll be taking it forward to a nuclear decision forum hopefully soon with our Deputy Secretary. So we think that this is really key in light of not just the transition phase, but the evolving threat landscape that we have to keep on top of this all the time. And we'll be working with the services individually and collectively, as well as Stratcom, which is the functional manager for the NC3 enterprise.
Have you started working with services at this point in time, or is that in the future?
Ma'am, we've started mostly at the OSW level and with Stratcom. I was on the call today with Admiral Carell talking about this issue. How can we bring more focus to certain elements, particularly around the future threat? But we will be working down to the individual service level as well, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. In future conversations we have, could you provide me with some more information on just, first of all, specifically what services and what their focus is going to be with regard to NC3?
Well, just topically, I can just say as far as TACAMO and SAOC, obviously with the Air Force and with the Navy, with the development of the C-130Js, TACAMO is obviously the Navy program, and SAOC is an Air Force program. But we are focusing on those two particular areas, as well as Looking Glass Next, which is a Stratcom Air Force program.
Right. Thank you very much. Senator King.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's worth commenting and noticing that everybody said that their part of the triad was the bedrock. And I think that's a good way to look at it, and I hope you all continue to consider it in that way. Secretary Kadlec, your position was created last year in order to consolidate responsibility for nuclear policy. One of my favorite maxims of management is one throat to choke. That's you. And the whole idea was to consolidate and bring together into one office all of these diverse issues of nuclear policy. I've heard rumors that Secretary Colby is building another office within his office on nuclear policy. Is there any truth to those rumors? Is that something are we back to splitting things up again?
Senator, I'm not familiar with the rumor you're offering at this point, and I do know that I work with and speak with Undersecretary Colby regularly on these issues. He is co-chairing with Admiral Carell a nuclear strategy review. I don't know if that may be
Perhaps that's the source of the
interpreted.
rumors.
However, we're participants in that, our office.
That's what I wanted to follow up.
Yes.
I guess the question is, do you feel that the coordination and cooperation and integration is working?
Well, it's like anything, a work in progress, but it is working, and we are advancing the cause here in terms of trying to address these issues. I think the nuclear strategy review is just a case in point where we're advancing this collectively between Stratcom, the warfighter, and hopefully other COCOMs in the future, as well as policy and our office in acquisition, to bring this all together into coherency that heretofore probably didn't exist.
Well, that's exactly the purpose of your office. So pursue it with vigor, as they say.
Well, sir, it's a size 16 collar, so.
All right, good.
Okay.
Just to advise. We've all talked today about the importance of the deterrent in order to protect the continental United States. But part of our deterrent is our extended deterrent and the so-called nuclear umbrella. My concern is that our allies may be losing confidence in that commitment, whether they're European or in Asia. I think that would be a great that would be a geostrategic mistake of a high order, because we don't want more and more countries feeling they have to develop their own nuclear capacity. That would lead to greater proliferation risk and other sort of destabilizing risks. Talk to me about, and it bothers me, let me put a fine point on this, the unclassified version of the National Defense Strategy did not mention extended deterrence or our nuclear umbrella at all. Can you reassure me that this is still part of a U.S. Nuclear policy?
Senator, I can. And extended deterrence has been a matter of public comments by Undersecretary Colby, subject to Europe. And I think in the case of how we vote with our feet, we do have nuclear weapons forward deployed with our dual capable aircraft and work with our allies in that way. So that hasn't changed one iota, at least in the current sense. And I think the key thing here is what has sometimes, I think, been confused with the idea of demanding that we have a strong conventional defense with our allies in Europe and in Asia to ensure that our extended deterrence provides a backstop.
But that extended deterrence should still be there. We do not want every country in the world developing
Correct.
their own nuclear weapons.
And it's been explicitly stated that it is policy.
That's a separate issue, as I see
Right.
it, as stepping up in terms of their
Yes, sir.
percent of GDP, et cetera. General White, how I know we could spend all afternoon on this, but there was a non-McCurdy breach in Sentinel. How are we doing in getting back on schedule and getting to a place where we can have control of the budget and deliver the project before those Minutemen threes age out?
Thank you for the question, Senator. I would submit to you that we're doing very well, as we've had discussions numerous times. I think the progress is very focused in a sense that a lot of the planning has been done. The restructure will be done in 2026, and we'll enter the milestone B phase and get that completed statutorily. But more importantly, getting everyone aligned on a vision of what we need to do. Cost estimation will be completed in the summer. We've already gone through some of the requirements process with some of the folks on the panel with me here today. And then getting to a place like what we're doing with the launch silo and actually having a prototyping effort that we just started in February. Additionally, we're also working on the missile side and the ability to do our first pad launch in 2027. So the restructure is near complete. Milestone B will be done this year, and then we'll have substantive process with prototyping on the silo side as well as on the ground launch in terms of a pad launch for 2027.
I hope you'll give some thought to the structure of the contracts that are going to be involved. You were involved in the B-21 project, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I think that's one of the most successful defense contract acquisitions we've done in many, many years. And I hope that we can think about some of the lessons learned there to apply to this project in terms of sharing the risk on development, but having fixed price on actual implementation. So I think that's an important part of how this proceeds.
Yes, sir, and I think you'll find over time, one of the first things I did was look deeply into the acquisition strategy, whether it's the most effective approach as we enter that milestone B and we go through the process, making sure we have the right structure in place that's going to ensure we're going to get the capability delivered to our warfighters.
Thank you all. And again, Admiral Wolfe, thank you so much for your work, and your work with this committee has been invaluable over the years. And fair winds and following seas, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator King. Admiral Wolfe, can you provide us with an update on the life extension program for the Trident?
Yes, ma'am. So we are on plan. As we've worked through that, we're looking at what the right architecture is going to be. We are actually looking at with funding that this committee has given us to look to accelerate that program, to figure out how we can pull some of the testing to the left early. As I said in my opening remarks, getting this new workforce trained, getting them to learn how to do this business. So that's where we're at. We've gotten all the milestones to date.
So it's on track?
Yes, ma'am. We are definitely on track.
2039.
Yeah, well, so 2039 is when we deploy the first weapon.
Are we on track?
On Columbia. Yes, ma'am, we are.
2039.
We are definitely on track. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What do you think's the biggest risks so you can timely execute these milestones?
Yes, ma'am. I think the biggest risk is making sure that we get, as I said, the industrial base back up to where they can actually execute this program at capacity. And then on the government side, it really is understanding all the testing that we're going to need to do, both from the pad and from the platform before we start deploying in 2039. So that's what we're focused on right now, is getting all of that capacity and getting all of the systems where they need to get so we can start testing.
Okay, thank you. General Davis, can you provide us with an update on the SAOC program?
Absolutely. Chairwoman Fisher, the SAOC program is past milestone B. It's fully funded in the FY27 budget. The team at Dayton, Ohio is working very hard. They've already acquired 4 aircraft in engineering, manufacturing, and development that they're converting into the new SAOC platforms. We're expecting the first aircraft to show up at Omaha, which has been identified as the main operating base in the early 2030s. But that program is remaining on track, but obviously there's a lot of work to do between now and that time.
Are you going to be able to prevent a capability gap between NAOC and SAOC?
Man, we'll absolutely be able to keep NAOC up and operating in its current configuration until then. It's a challenge, and it's a very expensive platform to maintain. So any actions we can take that move SAOC forward, and we're looking at a couple of those, I think will be worth the taxpayers' money. And once again, I think the sooner we can recapitalize that, the better off we'll be.
Thank you. General White, you've been in the role about 5 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? How do you think the authorities that you've been given, how does that help you cut through all the bureaucratic red tape? Are we giving you what you need, what we hoped would happen?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. I would say a resounding yes. I would say just some of the major acquisition decisions I've made in the first several months, we've probably cut the time by 60 to 70%. A large reason for that is as you've probably heard me state publicly, is I don't have a very large staff. Right now, at last count, I have 23 people. And the reason I have 23 people is because there are thousands of people working these programs, and what they didn't need is another extended layer of oversight. So my staff is focused on expertise like strategic advisor, which provides legal advice. I have an expert in budget, expert in contracting, and I also have an operator as my deputy who is a former B-2 pilot and has experience in Global Strike Command. So that gives me the ability to support these programs. As you know, I have a vast experience in many of these. And so I have the ability to look in and see where they need help, number one, and number two, to be able to expedite decision-making so that we can deliver these capabilities. And so I would say to this point, the authorities, as you well know, far exceed just acquisition, but they've been a resounding success in allowing me to be able to have that freedom of maneuver within these programs.
And back to Sentinel. How are you ensuring that we're going to have a capable Minutemen III until Sentinel's going to be fully deployed?
Well, first and foremost, as you'll see in the 27 budget, we resource it. That's step one, and we have done that. You'll also see an increase over time as we start getting more RDT&E to get modernization programs in place to ensure that that system not only remains sustainable, but in an area where it's maintainable. So we'll upgrade those portions of the system that we need to along the way. And so you'll have my commitment and the commitment of my team to make sure we continue that. And you'll see the Air Force standing with me side by side on making sure we get that done. So there's certainly no confusion on the importance of making sure it's maintainable, sustainable, and online.
Well, I certainly appreciate the updates that you give Senator King and myself in classified briefings. Those are extremely helpful, and it only helps instill confidence in the position you have, and that it is working, and that we are able to move ahead. For General White and General Davis, how are you both working together, along with Admiral Carell, to ensure that STRATCOM's requirements are going to be met with all these programs?
I'll lead off, and then I'll turn it over to my good friend SL. I think first and foremost, and it's just not Admiral Carell and General Davis, it's also Dr. Kadlec. And so,
sorry to have left you out.
No problem.
The success of our ability to be seamless.
We should throw in Admiral Wolfe as well.
You know,
it's his last. It's
your last one.
We do work together actually
Yes.
in many areas.
Yeah. And so the idea is simply that we operate a single mine, and we're very well integrated. There's no gaps and seams. It's the first thing I said when I came on board, is my ability for us, the four of us, to work together on these major programs with B-21 and Sentinel especially, is going to be the foundation of my success.
And I would just say we have a routine battle rhythm where Admiral Carell, General White, and I get together every 2 weeks. I meet with Admiral White every other week to discuss these programs. I would say past that, I've had the opportunity to work with both General White and Admiral Carell in previous jobs. So I have a personal relationship with both of them as well. So I think that keeps everything flat and allows us to have frank conversations about the needs of the program and to keep moving this forward.
The alignment at this point, I would say, is as strong as it's probably ever been across all of these different positions. And if we have to maintain that to be able to execute the outcomes we want.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Senator King, did you have other questions?
I just wanted to make an observation, because we're all talking sort of in detail. One of the issues we're facing a difficult budget situation, as you know. The deficit is now itself a national security issue that's going to have to be addressed. The unfortunate truth is, though, that it's fallen to the lot of all of us to modernize the entire nuclear triad at once. Probably, in retrospect, we should have been doing pieces of it over the last 30 or plus years. Plus, as we heard previously, we're having to modernize the nuclear weapon production as well as the triad platforms. I refer to it as the pig in the budgetary python. It's a lump that's moving through that we're just going to have to swallow in order to maintain the basic bedrock of our national security strategy, which is deterrence. Deterrence consists of capacity and will, and our adversaries have to understand that we have both. And what you're working on right now is the capacity part. And I believe that's what's so important about the work that we're doing in Sentinel, in the B-21, and also in Columbia. So I think it's important to sort of look on this as a bigger picture in terms of appropriations and expenses. This is not something that will continue forever. We'll get through these new programs. It is unfortunate from a budgetary perspective we're having to do it all at once, but it's nonetheless so critical to national security. So I want to thank all of you for the work that you're doing. Secretary Kadlec, I really appreciate the role that you're playing, and be aggressive. Don't let them poach on your authority here. Your job was created for a purpose, and it's very important to have that central coordinating function. So thank you very much for your testimony today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator King. And I think it's important for all of you and also for our committee as a whole to remind the American people that the first duty of Congress is for the defense of this country. It is for national security. And as all of you say, the deterrence that our nuclear forces provide is the bedrock of that security. Thank you for the important work you do. Thank you again, Admiral Wolfe. Wish you well in the future. We are adjourned.